different places or
Yeah, voices
organizations
girls.
contacted him and
Living the dream.
he is. Yes, we consider he just turned 19.
Exactly.
Okay, good morning and welcome back. This is so exciting. Another meeting of the Community Grants Advisory Committee. For some, it might be our last. And, oops, could I remind everyone to please turn off their cell phones if they have not already done so?
Little late.
Okay. We don't have, a lot of us have the same ring.
Yeah.
Let's turn it on.
Now that we're settled, you ready, Steph?
I'm ready.
Okay. First of all, welcome, and everyone has the agenda in front of them? All right. Could I have, are there any additions to the agenda? Any late items? Staff?
Jane, did you want to add a brief report about the multi-year?
Yes, if we could, Shale, that would be great, given that that was on our, where would you like to, is that under
I guess under
the business arising or new business? Probably business arising from the minutes, because we had discussed it at our last meeting.
Sure.
Okay, so that would be 5.2, business arising, and that would be the core grants funding. I just asked Shale to give us a brief update on what happened at the committee of the whole meeting. Any other? All right, in that hearing no other additions, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Okay. You want to, so that'd be Donna and Catherine? Because Shale is adjusting, making us come into focus, is that what it is?
It's not linking, so it's,
Darn.
this is
Moving right along.
Yeah.
not my best friend, and we're getting a new friend in a few weeks, so.
Oh, technology.
Yeah.
Technology.
The backup camera's on, if you want to see.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm just worried about you. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay, so, all right, so the, we have in front of us the minutes for the April 3rd meeting. Were there any omissions, errors, revisions that anyone would like to make on that, the minutes for that meeting? It was a long time ago.
It sure was.
I forgot. All right, could I have a hearing no changes, recommendations? Could I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Andrea, thank you. And a seconder, Gary, thank you. All right, oh, sorry, and I haven't called the question. All those in favor? Thank you. We'll assume that the agenda was approved unanimously. Public comments. Public comments is an opportunity for members of the public to comment regarding items on the agenda or any other comments or issues they wish to bring to the committee's attention. We do have some public. Very nice looking public, I might add. Good morning all. Anyone like to say anything? Fine, so, which moves us right into the new business, which is a review of the fall grants in aid applications. I'm just getting quite excited.
And warming up.
Okay. So we've all received the applications from 4 organizations in the community, and Shale has been compiling our the scoring for our criteria.
Yeah, so we can see that up on the screen now. At the top of the screen, we have the full budget for 2017. We can see what the awards that were given in the spring for community grants and also for the spring grants and aid, which leaves us with a remaining budget of $5,700 to be able to award for the fall grants and aid. Sorry, this says spring up here, it should say fall.
Okay. So what we have done in the past is just gone through application by application and looked at our scoring and discussed how we've assigned the scoring and questions that we might have of the various applications. So why don't we begin with the gymnastics club, which was the first application we see in our package.
Joyce, I just had one question before. When I was doing them, it seemed to me that there were two different forms given out.
Yes, you're right there.
So it didn't show the total number of individual volunteers in two of the forms.
I think two was a cause and maybe
Might have had an old form.
yeah.
They may have, on the bottom of the current form, I put in the version number of 0817, which is the best way for me to be tracking what is the correct form to be using, and I apologize, that is an oversight on my part, I didn't notice that.
No, you're right, Donna, I didn't notice that as well.
I think what does happen with the application forms is applicants often reinvent their previous submission, and I'm trying to catch it as quickly as I can when the submissions come in, and clearly I missed this one.
Could I just actually show, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I noted there was a question about the total individual volunteers was on the new form. Were there any other changes to the application form? Major changes?
You know, after our meeting in the
Yeah.
spring, we did have some revisions on how we were going to be rephrasing or repositioning some of the questions, and
Yeah.
I think I captured that, but it is a few
Yeah.
months. I would
Yeah.
have to do a side-by-side comparison. I couldn't speak to that really clearly
just-
right now to
yeah.
say exactly what I amended.
I had just quickly gone through it and I saw the total of individual volunteers,
That was
but I
great,
couldn't
that
see
addition.
anything else that was
No,
jumped
I couldn't
out.
either. This is the only one that really
Yeah.
jumped out.
I think that was true. I think we did some wording, and what we were doing was linking the criteria to the application a little bit stronger, and that showed up.
Great. Okay, so do we want to start with the gymnastics? Anyone want to launch in with comments about scoring? We can see scoring is fairly,
Where's this
No, it's not on
On the far side.
there. Oh, there it is, oh,
God,
yes.
you're efficient
Sorry.
woman.
Oh, there it
Right,
is.
wait,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. So we're
So
taking
24.
I've compiled the scores that everybody has submitted, given the total maximum, or given what the total is, the maximum possible is 245, divided that by the number of people here submitting, which gives us the average.
Isn't the magic? Oh, I see, yes. Shut up, Andrew.
That's really easier than doing it on the Blackboard.
it is, isn't it? A lot quicker too. So we do have a bit of a range. We, as you can see, from 22 to 31. So, 0.5. Anyone want to start the comments?
Can I just ask, isn't the average maximum possible 30?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Not
You
35?
must have been using the old
Criteria.
Oh,
It's 30.
it's 30
Yeah.
on everything.
It's
It's
30 on
all of mine.
because the
I have
number
30.
went out with the package, and
Okay.
Cheryl sent out the new one.
This was in my binder.
So you have 35?
I got 30.
I think
30.
They all say
I think Joyce might be the only one who's used 35.
But the number of fives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6 would,
But there are 7 categories on the new sheet.
oh well.
Oh, we've got this
No,
one.
this is a bit of a problem. I don't know how to,
Do we miss a beat? This was in my binder that I picked up.
so
Well,
everybody
actually-
has 30, but you have
But,
35.
yeah, I have 35, but the thing is that if we decide that
But
we're
I can
going
adjust that.
to ignore, actually, number 7 is the addition, which is demonstration of partnerships, alliances, and working with other community organizations to maximize program
Right.
effectiveness and organizational efficiency. And it really was a separate new category that we put in. I can just take off mine, those points, and.
I don't think it's gonna make a big difference here anyway.
No,
Under
Scores
the
are all relatively
circumstances.
high.
And you know, the other thing is, that's the reason why mine are all higher.
Yes,
Mhm.
they are.
Yeah. Although I had, because this is my last meeting, I was a little more generous than.
Is the camera working right now?
The backup camera.
So I can like publicly apologize.
Oh, geez.
Oh, dude, stop it.
I'm very sorry.
She's manager of finance and senior accountant and HR right now.
Yeah.
Bit of everything.
There's a lot going on.
The world is
also, I
not coming to an end.
The little bit of the
Believe me.
confusion also is that our webpage is in transition right now, so part of the original policy that I sent to staff, I took that off of our website, but I had an old cached version. And so I'm wondering if maybe that's also what happened with this. So it didn't get the actual current
Let me
one.
just check mine to see if that will make a difference to
Okay.
the relative stand. Just give me 1 second.
So,
there's
while
a
you're checking, I've got a
question
comment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so
Yeah.
I was just a little confused with the numbers in terms of, this one doesn't affect my support for the program. I know it's been around for a long time, and even though I don't have kids who have been involved in the program, I certainly know a lot of people whose kids are involved, and it's a really wonderful asset to the community. However, but one of the key things in our questions is it possible for people who are financially constrained to participate? And the response was a yes. And yet, the reason why it's a yes is if they get support through grants, then that makes that support possible. But they also budget. But I was confused about numbers in terms of the numbers of families that will be supported, because I was looking at sort of the total costs that they had allocated to support last year, and then what they were looking at this year. And based on their grant application, it looked like that 1,500 was going to support 5 families. Am I reading that wrong? Whereas last year, they allocated so much in their budget, and they talk about 100 families benefiting. So I'm
I
really
think they
confused
meant
about the
100
numbers.
families in the program.
And their
Yes.
participants.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're talking specifically about those that received assistance
There are 5 families that are going to get the support, yeah,
this year.
Of the
But I'm looking
500.
at last year's,
or the 100.
what they budgeted last year for the same kind of support, access support, and it looked like, and I just found the numbers confusing. It could be me misreading it.
Can you put us right where
Sure.
you're finding that? Because
Okay.
I couldn't pick that up at all, so.
Okay,
There is, I'm trying to find it, it does specify exactly where the,
The very end of
The
their
very end
budget.
they do.
Yeah.
Well, this is what their
Maybe that's
proposed budget
Yeah.
is. And then I looked, so let me just see where I can find
On
it.
page 2 of the application, how many participants have made use?
Yeah.
Approximately 100
Yeah.
unique registrants. So I took that to mean that's gymnasts.
Yeah, how many are in the whole program?
Yeah,
but on the very last page there is a proposed bursary budget. And I think that's,
And that's 5
Okay,
gymnasts.
so that was, even though financial assistance was community, okay, it was the total number of participants.
That's right.
Okay, I got it. So really,
there's where the bursary is.
yeah, so the 1,500 so it is really just supporting 5 families. Okay.
Although it looks like some families are reducing their fees by volunteering.
I don't think they're separate from that total number. You see, that's where I don't have any idea in the end how many families will
Yes, I agree.
actually
That was
receive
my
assistance. It's just the clarity of the numbers.
One thing I did like, I don't remember seeing that, the breakdown, like, of how many were going to receive 50% and 25%.
Yeah, no, that's
I
good.
really like that.
Yeah.
I did notice that they have reduced the amount of money they're thinking of using this year compared to last
Yes.
year.
Yeah.
Is that because of a reduced need, or is it? we
They
don't
didn't
know.
say,
We
it just
don't know.
said how much was spent last year, and then what their proposed budget this year for helping was less.
I had trouble, I couldn't find in their income statement where they reflect what they pay for
Yes.
bursaries.
That's right.
I looked at
noticed
that.
that
too.
Yeah, they spend, in my mind, an incredible amount on ferry transportation, but I couldn't see, they say they contributed $24.58 in, for bursaries, but
Yeah.
there's no place that miscellaneous is only $7.94, so I was curious about that.
It's possible they could have reduced the revenue amount.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah.
The fees are reduced.
I thought there was rather a lot on awards and trophies.
And salaries.
And salaries,
Yeah.
Well, having had kids in soccer and stuff, and every tournament there's
That's right,
really
yeah.
trophies.
Yeah.
Like,
Not another trophy.
I mean, it'll be like plastic cups.
I've just been throwing away all that stuff as I pack up to move.
We could make a note in the letter to ask them to include the amount of financial aid in their financial statements.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be very, very useful.
As a grandma of a gymnast, one really does need to have a number of people on the floor. I mean, they're spotting, they're
Yeah,
training.
yeah.
You can't be just one coach.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be multiple coaches.
I didn't have any quibbles with
Yeah.
Yeah.
the skilled staff.
Yeah.
I agree.
Administrative salaries, I thought, just going through that, I thought was a little high. And the thing that sparked it was they got a $21,000 deficit at the end of everything, which is a not a likely situation. Which is surprising, because in the previous years, I always felt that they were in really good shape. Anyway, they do an amazing job, and
They do.
if that's what it costs to do it, then that's what it costs.
And the parents, I mean, the
Yeah.
setup and take
Yeah.
on
Oh, yeah.
every single
Every,
time.
absolutely.
Holy mackerel.
So I was confused about rental. Do they pay the rent to the municipality?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they do.
And so that's part of
I
the BIM's BIC's time,
That's right.
okay?
Oh, I see.
Explain that again?
It's part of the municipalities, part of the time that we have the gym for. So they rent it from the municipality.
That was an issue a number of years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so they give money then to the municipality. They give
Yes.
this 15,000.
That's my understanding.
So, I'm just looking ahead, and maybe that's, anyway, maybe it's off the topic. And just in terms of the new community center and how things might change down the road, in terms of things like rents, amounts of rents and things like that.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
it'll all be
yeah,
reviewed,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Because costs go up, with every
Oh,
organization.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, any other, Andrea?
I guess the only other thing I'd say is I know these things take a long time to put together, these applications, but for the financial, the bursary programs like this, it'd be really helpful to get a more transparent look at how it works. I mean, do parents fill out a form? Do they, how do those 5 families get identified? If people are working off part of their fees, which it suggests they are under the sustainability, how does that work exactly? It would just be really nice to see it.
Kind of like a criteria, a little.
Yeah, I'm definitely not saying we want to
Yes.
see family names. It's just, how does it work exactly so that we know that people have a clear way to come forward and ask for help and not just rely on a quiet ask, yeah.
I actually read that, the sustainability, I didn't read that as that they were working on.
No, I
I
didn't
just
read
thought
it.
that they
I
were,
think-
they were more
Something
volunteers.
hinted at that somewhere along.
Yeah, I just read that, well, they've got more people, therefore
Yeah.
more people will be there to volunteer.
There are groups where you can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
Absolutely.
Tunstall Bay does it that way,
Yeah.
so that's what I wondered.
Good. Any other comments or issues raised with the gymnastics application? So we've got a score of ranges. Okay, let's move on to CODS.
What number is that?
Oh, it's
four.
number
Three.
Number 4. We're,
4.
I thought I was asleep.
want to start the discussion about this. What they're asking for is to do a pamphlet to inform people about how to deal with skunks, rats, and mice, vermin, I guess. And also to have, it looks like a couple of free educational events with visiting speakers.
Saw that.
So, any issues related to the application from CAUSE? This is an old
Certainly
applicant
perfect,
form.
yeah. They certainly picked a perfect time to.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Skunk madness.
Can I just point
Oh.
out, sorry,
Yeah.
the amount of grant requested on the application form was 1530, but the budget indicated 1510. I just left it at 1530.
Oh,
Yeah, but we can discuss that.
Okay. Andrea?
So this isn't a comment on the budget, it's a comment on the service. One of the things in the applications, they indicate that they're going to be working with the municipality, which I think is great on this issue. I don't know what that means, working with the municipality, but I think that's great. So I went online and checked out other municipalities in terms of how they, what they see their role as with respect to pests control, animal control, and things like that. And I just used the website to find out sort of how easy it was to access that information if I was a community member. And I have to say, it's never particularly easy. Vancouver was one of the better ones, but not even on our site is it easy to kind of get at what do you do if you've got an issue. And I think it's important. So I love the fact that they're working with municipality. And what I and sort of in Vancouver, they did focus on skunks and rats because those are issues in Vancouver. In West Vancouver, they focus on bears but there was something on the municipal website that provided information, general information to the public, and then the contact numbers to get in touch with around pest control, whether it was the province or whether it was health department or whatever. So I think it's great that they're doing that, and I guess I'm thinking that this is probably something municipalities should be seriously thinking about, having at least some information on their website. And should it be coming out of this budget, or maybe it should be contracted with them to do, to put this together and facilitate getting this information on their website. So that's, and anyway, so that was the only thing that kind of came up for me in terms of, I think it's an important project.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see it further developed. Yeah.
And Andrea, that echoes a conversation we had a year ago.
Oh, does
about
it?
a fair, no, but it's true. I mean, it just says to me that it is something, we did have the conversation, like whose responsibility is this? Is this not something that the municipality should be playing a role in?
Certainly around public
And-
education.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And having it come out of community grants, we sort of asked the question, if the municipality isn't doing their part yet, why should it come out of the community grants?
Okay,
I'm
great,
totally
great.
with you. Sorry.
No, not at all. I'm just saying, if we give them money for education, then it is coming out of the municipality. But I agree 100%. It's something that's gotta get going.
Yeah.
There's no question.
My only
Too late.
concern was that, we haven't had a discussion about how do we want to treat animals that are pests. So,
And most
That's
municipalities
a
don't
different
see it as their
discussion.
responsibility, other than to educate the community a little bit.
Exactly.
And then provide the links to
Yes.
where they can go. And I think that's at least a really good basic service that we can provide. And make it easy to find on the website.
I think our website is challenging right now as it's going
Yes.
through its transition to a new website, which is a little bit behind schedule. I do believe there are information about what to do on the bylaw pages.
Mm.
And actually, I actually Googled what to do about skunks in urban areas, so I found it. I was able to come up with something very quickly. Didn't go into the municipal website, but I also went on the CAUSE website, and I've got they've got a very thorough website dealing with pets,
They do.
and as well as a Facebook page. So moving forward, now that's outside of the scope of their application. They're wanting to develop speaker series and mail out pamphlets. So
That's great.
it's Yeah. Donna, did you have any?
Well, I just think it's such a great program to do, and I agree with you, should the municipality be taking more of an initiative on this, rather than leaving it to cause. I just question the one thing, when they say participants using the program, 3,500.
I saw that too.
Approximately.
Does that mean everyone on Bowen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I wonder.
Yes, it does, yeah.
It didn't really work for me either.
That one was circled as well for me.
I was actually wondering if they were referring to the animals rather than.
It's true.
Or hits on their website, who knows?
Yeah. Joyce, did you?
Well, this is a very subjective comment, but I just keep on thinking we have all these feral cats that we're keeping alive, and we've got this rat and mice population. And isn't there something that we could match up there?
Yeah,
Like a dating-
train them to
a
take
dating
the
website.
A dating.
Bring in some coyotes, I guess.
Well, I worry about the birds with the feral cats, so maybe we can train the feral cats to go after the rats and the mice and the skunks.
Stones, yeah.
My only concern about this project was that I wondered about the value of the educational, I don't know how successful workshops on training or what you do with a skunk. I think the idea of educating the population on how to deal with it is really needed, but whether bringing a speaker in and setting up a workshop is the way to go.
I had that thought too, and then I thought,
Yes, it
you know,
depends.
sometimes it's better to bring folks, an expert from away to talk about
Yes.
something, instead of hearing about it from the people that are always talking about pest control on islands. Like it's a new voice, it's a new perspective. Maybe that's what
Maybe
they're
it's got
saying.
some
that they-
more information,
Yeah,
fresh
yeah.
series of information.
I mean, they're looking.
It's gotta be worthwhile.
Yeah.
Anything that gets the information out there is worthwhile in my, I don't know what you do, but it's getting pretty bad.
My one, this isn't particular to this project, but I'm wondering about whether anyone's done much thinking about the value of leaflets these days. You know, because we're immediately talking about their Facebook page and how do we get stuff on the meeting website, how do we get people to the cause website. Maybe a leaflet is how we hit everybody still, but
I think
I'm
there's, I
wondering
think
if
there's a
that way is
demographic
maybe
on the island that probably
relies on
requires, yeah,
Okay,
I'm not computer savvy by any stretch.
okay.
Even if it were like a French type of leaflet, but that's up to them.
See a skunk,
Kill it.
call, run. Yeah.
I actually think that because of the skunk, it's the skunk issue for me that's like become
Oh, yeah.
a huge issue. I think that that people really do need education and workshops, how to skunk-proof your house. I don't know how many stories I'm hearing now. Skunks
That's-
getting
yeah.
underneath the house and nesting there for,
Yeah.
over the winter and things like that. So, people that have dog and cat doors. I think that sort of the landscape has changed, and so I think.
Yeah, actually, that's a valuable piece of
How to
information.
skunk-proof your
Which
house,
you
that's a
wouldn't-
lecture
Which you
on
wouldn't
that.
even think about. Yeah.
With pen and paper.
Where to put your composter,
Yeah,
in
exactly,
your yard now.
that sort of thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
Ooh, all right.
There you go, see, you didn't need the lecture. You got the lecture
Another
right here.
topic. Okay, any other items or any other points on the cause? Okay. Going now, where are we? Community lunch program.
Back to number 3. And we did have the revised financials.
Yeah. I'll say it's always pleasant when there's a revise and they ask for less money.
Very
Something
nice.
like that.
You can't do that again next year, though.
Good
We're
bargaining
up to your tricks.
strategy.
I have one minor question, it doesn't bear on much, but the chef is listed as a volunteer.
Yeah,
Wondered
that was
about
my
that.
question.
I could speak to that.
Are we,
Or not yet.
I think actually I'd like just to, we've got 2 groups represented here. Do we want to hear from them or I think it's a really important Normally, we don't allow the party, because we don't have all four of the organizations represented here. So I think that, thank you
But
for.
for clarification,
Yeah.
sometimes. we go-
Okay, if everyone comfortable with asking Colleen
For
to just clarify on
clarification,
that?
because that was my question.
Okay.
That was my question.
Yeah, so Maxine, it takes her 4 hours to do these 2 huge soups, all the cutting and cooking. That's what we pay her for. The day that she shows up for the lunches, where she's there most of the day, she volunteers that.
Wow.
That's,
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments about,
Other than, wow, what a success, hey?
yeah.
And, oh, okay, I do have another comment, and it's interesting that it was checked off that no financial assistance is provided, but $5 lunches are in it. That's pretty
Heavily
reasonable, so
subsidized.
I would
It's quite a
say
subsidy,
everybody.
yeah. Quite a
yeah,
subsidy.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Andrea?
So, I have an issue with an incorporated association category, which we'll talk about later, but it has nothing to do with the applicant. But so the only question I had, just in terms of the budget or embedded in the application, is I didn't have any sort of quick idea of approximately how many people a lunch attend.
25, I put
25?
that in there.
Is it in there?
We average, yeah,
Oh, sorry.
we average 25 and we're up, and often we're up to 35.
Okay.
Wow.
I think community luncheons are amazing. I love them. And I think that the number of organizations that are collaborating is also fabulous. So I think that's great.
Yeah, that's a real plus to have so many organizations really involved.
Absolutely. My only comment about this, and I will address the proponent on this, is that I was a little concerned about the budget. In that it would have been nice to see a breakdown of what, over the course of the year, the income, the actual expenditures and the actual income, the revenue. Because it's very much a ballpark. And I can't argue at all about the value and what, but in terms of what we require for an application, having a more specific breakdown of the actual revenues and the costs would have been useful to have. So.
Colleen and I did have a discussion about that, and we felt that there wasn't going to be time, I guess, it's a group of volunteers, and there was a bank statement. I felt concerned that who are we making if there was going to be an award, who would it be going to, and who's going to be looking after the money? And,
I think it gets a message across, but it's a little thin compared to what we normally would be looking at. But I think that's part of the situation with this, because it's kind of a sub-organization. It's a program.
Right, but still, there is someone who collects the money and keeps track of it, I would assume, and
quite true.
pays for cost. Yes, Andrew?
I think that we had talked about this at the last meeting. I would think that a template where there's consistency and how people present the information would make a difference, because it is a real kind of mixed bag in terms of the budgets that are submitted. Anyway, I know that was like something that we had talked about, but no, not now, but maybe in the future.
I'd love to talk about it a little bit later.
The only thing I was going to say was that lack of detail, the one area that makes it slightly difficult is the contingency funds. So it's harder to get a sense of how likely or unlikely it's going to be that that's needed, or how, that was the one number I had a little question mark beside.
And there is, I was wondering, do the lunches go through the summertime? Is it 50 or 24 times a year? So just a bit more detail would help to get a sense in mind of what it costs, the income that comes in. For example, there is a drop-in fee of $5, but they also sell soup. So how does that work in terms of the revenue? So it would just be, I think, in the future, as I say, I think this is a fabulous program, very much needed in the community, but in assisting for the committee to make the decision.
Especially in a more competitive
Exactly.
environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other comments? All right, full bills, the Friends of Lona Island Library Society.
Full bills.
Hmm?
Full bills.
Full bills, exactly. Comments, anyone want to start the discussion on?
It's interesting to see how, like, the Book Fest earnings are going down every year.
Yeah. Hard to sell books these days.
And I hope that's not partly because of the Nook.
Oh.
Because what happens at the Nook, especially on the times when the library isn't taking books, everything comes to us, and we don't have room. And so many times we just have to sell books for 25 cents just to get rid of them. So people start getting used to the idea that they can get books so cheap. And a lot of our books go off island, but I've always wondered, we don't want to do that, and we're stuck, because they'll just dump them with us if
Yeah.
we don't take them.
Will this change when the community center is built, when Cove Commons? Is there a space in Cove Commons for this storage?
I don't know, you'd have to ask
Yes.
Tina.
So Rita, will you be able to store the books in the Cove Commons now? Is that what the plan is?
Will still be stored at the cottage that was built for us, but there will be a mini bookstore down
Oh, good.
in the library. Will continue.
So people will be able to delete their books year-round then? Is that what the plan is?
Well, we don't take books in the summer because our volunteers need a break.
Right.
Oh, come on.